by Novus Draconis, read by Deathlight. I remember a day, many years ago, when I was still young. My grandma, Vinyl, showed me a letter written from Grandma Tavy. We were getting ready for a party where Grandma Tavy was supposed to play her cello. I was going to go with them. Grandma Tavy asked me if Grandma Vinyl was ready to go. I went to the sitting room to find Grandma Vinyl sitting on the sofa, holding a piece of yellow dry paper, staring at it fondly. She looked up and saw me. Patting the seat next to her, she said, "Come on, Shortstack. Come sit with your grandma and I'll tell you a story." It took a bit of struggling, but I finally managed to climb up next to her. "You know, when I first met your grandma Tavy, her daddy didn't like me. He said I was a slacker, that I would never amount to anything or be good enough for a little filly. I suppose I can understand how he felt. Back then, I didn't have 3 bits to my name, and I constantly went from job to job and town to town. All that stopped when I met Tavy. You know when they say love at first sight doesn't exist? But with us, it felt like it. I was working as a barista in her favorite coffee shop, and she would come precisely 8:30 for a morning java, double calf soylette. She was always a pretty good tipper. She'd then go to a corner and sit alone, going through her textbooks. I don't know what made me ask her on a date. Maybe it's the way she always looked so down, like she needed some pony to cheer her up. I took my break a bit early and went over to her, and introduced myself. She was very shy and didn't say much, but I got her to open up by showing her some of that old vinyl scratch charm. She had come from an affluent landowning family, and that her father wanted her to study business. But she confessed she didn't want to study business. She wanted to play the cello. I convinced her, after a while, to go out with me. It was something small, just a little dinner. I didn't want to drag her out of her comfort zone too quickly. After about a year of quiet meetings, she decided it was time for me to meet her family. Her family's opinion meant a great deal to her. I dressed up well, and made myself look as presentable as I could, and went to her house. Did I say house? I meant mansion, as the melodies were loaded. Grandma Vinyl took a deep breath before continuing. That night quickly went bad. All throughout dinner, Tavy's mom kept a massive, false grin on her face, as Tavy's dad glared daggers at her, while I pretended not to notice. It seemed that her family didn't care for having one of the lower classes at their table, eating food from the good china. I didn't know what they were expecting, but I certainly wasn't it. Of course, they tried to make small talk, if only for the sake of politeness. I told them about where I was from, where I went to school, what sort of work I did, and what my parents did, but with each answer, they became more and more concerned. The night ended sooner than I would have liked, but at the same time, not soon enough. The atmosphere in the house was oppressive. That means it felt very thick, short stack. Grandma Tavy walked me to the road and then returned to the house. The poor thing. Her parents didn't even wait until I was out of earshot before they started shouting at her. She didn't come to the coffee shop the next day, or for the rest of the week. I started to worry about her, thought about going to see if she was okay, but I decided to wait. I didn't know if going back would get her in even more trouble, but I wasn't willing to find out. I thought if I waited a bit longer, she would turn up. After about 2 weeks, she did. She came into the coffee shop a bit later than usual. The moment she spotted me, this look of determination crossed over her face. She sat down at her usual table and stared at me, waiting impatiently. I left the counter and went to her. By the look in her eyes, I should have known something was up. She told me her parents didn't know she was here, and that she had to get back to the house before they noticed. My worst fears have been confirmed, and they have forbidden her from seeing me. But she confessed that she was tired of living under her father's iron hoof, and that she had wanted to leave for a while, but never had the confidence to do it. Finally, after I had showed up, I told her stories of where I had been. She had decided that the time had come for her to leave. She was going to quit business school and run away to be a cellist. I tried to convince her to stay with her parents, and that most of my stories were lies, that it was ridiculously difficult for a pony to survive out there. But she didn't buy it. Her mind was made up. I couldn't let her go out there alone. It was any pony's guess to what happens to a naive, attractive filly like her. I told her to meet me at an old oak tree near her home, and we would go. After my shift, I went straight to the tree, but I didn't see her anywhere. There was this note that she had left.
"Dearest Vinyl, if you get here before I do, don't give up on me. I'll meet you when my chores are through. I don't know how long I'll be, but I'll not let you down. Darling, wait and see. Between now and then, until I see you again, I'll be loving you. Love, me."
There was a polite cough from the other room, and we looked up to see Grandma Tavy standing in the doorway.
Are you ready?
Yeah, Grandma Vinyl replied, replacing the letter in her coat pocket and pushing herself from the seat.
Shortstack, why don't you carry Grandma Tavy's cello?
Grandma Tavy's prized cello, a priceless instrument that she had owned since she was a little filly, sat against the wall. I went to grab it, but she waved me away.
I can carry it, Vinyl.
She replied, giving me a reassuring smile. With a concerned look, Grandma Vinyl crossed the room and spoke to Grandma Octavia.
The doctor said you shouldn't strain yourself. Your heart could.
Grandma Tavy let out a laugh.
I'm sure he meant I shouldn't be a field worker, but I can certainly handle my cello. Tavia, both you and the doctor worry too much.
She hefted the massive instrument onto her shoulder.
Let's be on our way.
As we left the house, I kept between my grandmas. Grandma Vinyl told me about how you two met, I informed Grandma Octavia.
Did she now?
Yeah, she said your daddy didn't like her very much. Her ears fell a bit.
Yes, Papa didn't like anybody that was inferior. I doubt he would have ever approved of Vinyl, no matter what social prowess she held. But he was a stubborn old stallion.
Did you ever go back?
Oh, of course we did. He warmed up to the situation in due time, once he figured out that I could be as stubborn as he was. I think, ultimately, he wanted me to be happy. Were you happy?
She flashed me a smile.
Always was, and always am.
The party was at a large and beautiful house just up the road where my grandmas lived. Vinyl stopped at the bottom of the stairs and turned to me.
Alright, Shortstack, I really want you to carry Grandma Tavy's cello.
But Grandma Tavy says she can get it.
Grandma Tavy says a lot of things, but that doesn't mean you should listen to her. Tell her you'll be very upset if you don't get to carry your cello up the stairs. And I promise I'll be so very cheerful while you do it. Be sure to make that face you make when you want to cook you before supper.
I did as I was told, insisting that I carry the cello while making my cookie face. Octavia, however, was a wise and stubborn old mare. She simply chuckled and leaned down.
Vinyl put you up to this, didn't she? Tell me the truth now.
I frowned. How was she able to see through that? Yes, Grandma Tavy. She looked over to Vinyl.
I've half a mind to make you sleep on the sofa, for manipulating this little deer against me.
Vinyl let out an exasperated groan.
I'm worried about your heart. I'm not, and I know you have it, and it's in good hooves.
She started up the stairs, pausing every few steps for breath. The more steps she climbed, the more trouble she seemed to have. Grandma Vinyl stayed right beside her.
Tavy, I really wish you'd just let me or Shortstack take that thing. It's Shortstack and I, Vinyl. You think after 50 years with me, you learned proper questioning grammar. Besides, what kind of cellist doesn't carry their own instruments? A piss poor cellist, that's what kind. No, the kind that are elderly, and have a congenital heart condition. Now let me carry that damn thing for you. Watch your language and stop badgering me about it. If it makes you feel better, you or him can carry it back to the house. I'd feel a lot better if I can carry it now.
Nearly to the top step, she paused again, pressing her hoof against her chest.
Tavy?
Suddenly her legs tumbled and she tumbled back down the stairs. Grandma Vinyl followed as fast as her legs could carry her, shouting for me to go find help. I ran to the house, screaming that my grandma had fallen and she needed help. A small group of ponies followed me outside as the hostess called for an ambulance. Vinyl sat at the bottom of the stairs, holding Tavy in her hooves, crying. She begged Octavia not to leave her, told her that she needed her too much, that they had been together too long for her to leave now. Finally, Octavia lied still. Everything was quiet. Even Vinyl had stopped crying. She simply stared at Tavy, running a fetlock through her mane.
If you get there before I do,
she whispered, tears running from her eyes.
Don't give up on me. I'll meet you when my chores are through. I don't know how long I'll be, but I'm not going to let you down. Darling, wait and see. Between now and then, I'll see you again. I'll be loving you. Love me.